generally steer away from commentaries, right?
No, commentaries are excellent. But you can't, in general, with commentaries, what you don't want to do is you don't want to study the Bible by studying somebody else's notes on the Bible first. But a heart well prepared to read somebody else's work, you're going to get so much more out of a commentary, having spent tons of time in the text. Then you go to the commentary and your first pass isn't tainted or educated merely by what somebody else got out of the text, but you're able to say, no, that's not what this is saying at all, because I've actually, so many commentaries, it's weird, jumps immediately out of the context, out of the immediate context, and run to historical commentary. They interact with everybody's views, and you can get lost from something that's super simple in the text, where it's just, if you were to stay in the text, read the context, you could say, that's what you're saying is obviously not what Paul is saying. Because, and I know that, not because I know Greek, not because I can read all these extra biblical resources, but because I followed his argument. Or you can read a commentary and say, you're right on, or thank you, I hadn't considered that. But if you can only interact well with a commentary, I think, once, or you can interact best with a commentary once you've actually spent the time in the text yourself. We'd be foolish, I think, not to go to commentaries, not to go to good resources, because there's people who are better equipped, better able, and spent a lot more time in the text than we have. And if we have we really should go to them for help, but not go to them to do our work for us. The Holy Spirit doesn't need a commentary. He can use the text himself in our heart to illuminate the text to us. He doesn't give us meaning apart from hard study, but it's in that process, I think, of diligent, prayerful study that he changes our hearts, that he shows himself to us, that we really get to be changed through the word. So no, I do think commentaries are important, but you don't want to go there first, and you don't want to go there most. And it's amazing what can happen when you just sit down and observe a text a lot. Another thing that Logos will help you see how to do is, we've talked about when you just look at the English and then you see another look, all these translations are different, or I'm having a hard time understanding what the English is saying, and it looks like, wow, it looks like this must just be a hard one to understand, because all the translations seem to be saying something slightly different. That might be a clue to you. I'm going to need to consult some trusted commentaries here to see what the issues are, right? So you don't want to, you can't read a commentary in every single verse, but when you run into something like that on your own study, that can key you in to say, I do need to run to a commentary here, and I do want to get some help. But
Jacob, it may not be a good time to get, and I'm fine, but 1 Peter 2 verse 1 says, so it would be written, would be put off or putting off, and that's confusing because different versions.
Yeah, that's a great example, and this will give us, remember, so exactly where we're going. This is a good segue.
Is it okay, because you don't have to go here if you want to?
Ask your question, and we'll see if we should go there, or...
Well, put off sounds like an imperative.
Right. Okay, this is a great question, and this will get us into exactly what we need to do today. How do you search for words? How do you understand what this is? So everybody go to 1 Peter 2. The question is, so put off. In ESV, it said, everybody open your Bibles, open your layout to 1 Peter 2, 1. This wasn't my plan, but I think we can make it work really well, because this is a good one for that. Your New American Standard says, therefore, putting aside all malice, hypocrisy, envy, and all slander, like newborn babes, long for the pure milk. So in English here, what's the command? In verses 1 and 2.
Put aside.
Read the New American Standard. What is the command word? What's the imperative or the command? In English? Which
Are you
version?
looking at ESV or NAS?
Go to NAS.
In NAS, the command is long.
Right. In NAS, the command is long, and you can see that clearly because putting it's not an imperative form. It looks more it's a gerund. It's like a participle. It's clearly a subordinate. It's setting up a clause or a phrase that's going to describe what the main verb is, right? So you would never have a main verb end in ing, right? You'd say.
And Sarah said, "Well,
Go
what
ahead.
does it mean by what is she mean by that?"
We can get there. So but read it. Therefore, putting aside all malice, deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and slander, like newborn babies, long for the pure milk of the word. So if you were to ask somebody, what is the command? What is Peter commanding in that word? In that verse, Sarah had it right. It's clear in the NAS. He's commanding you to long, and he's telling you a way to long, and that's putting aside. Does that make sense? So we could diagram that. We will do that at some point. But we could say, what's the main verb? If you were to preach a sermon on this, should your main point be put off, or should your main point be long? What would be long for the pure milk of the word? What would be most consistent with the command of Peter? Long. Right? So in the ESV, look at the ESV, it's not as obvious. He says, so put away all malice, all deceit, all hypocrisy, envy, and slander. Period. Like newborn infants, long for the pure spiritual milk. If you were to diagram that in English, or if you were to try to understand that in English from the ESV, that would look like two coordinate commands. Coordinate meaning equal in importance, or the same part of speech, right? Or same, I guess, the same type of verb. They both look like commands in English. So this would be a good one where, look up at mine on the screen. We're going to make this visual filter today, and it would help you in whatever version you wanted. So do you see how the put is gray? And do you see how long is green? I made a visual filter that said when you have a participle, put it in gray, because I never want to confuse a participle for the main verb. And that's why in ESV or in NAS, which it's a little bit harder to read, it doesn't flow as nice, but they put an ing after it, which you can sort of do in your head anytime you have a participle. Just add an ing to the word, and that might help you get, not perfectly, but might help you get a better sense of what the participle is. So you can say, wow, even though I was reading an ESV, I didn't get thrown off. I'm not going to mistake that as a command the same way as long is a command. Does that mean Peter's not commanding them to put off anything? No, he's saying as you long, you do it in a way that's putting off. But his main command is long. And so you can understand that two ways. You can get that, or you can obtain that information two different ways, three different ways, really. Right? If you read multiple versions, you're going to see that. Right? So if you hover, if you have your information window up, and you hover over that word, you're going to see that only. So do that. Hover over the word put or putting, and look over at your information window and look at the translated section. Do you see the different translations that pop up? So you can see that many of them have laying aside or putting aside. Translate it like a gerund, like a participle, but many of them understand it as a command, and figure it will be easier for readability. Let's just translate it as an imperative. So ESV, RSV say put away. NIV says rid yourselves, looks like a command. New Living says get rid of, sounds like a command. But Lexham and King James, Lexham, King James, and NAS all translate it in the obvious participle. So when you do a hover on that verb, you would have seen that. But you're not going to hover over every single word as you read the Bible, but you might if you're looking for main verbs. You can do that. You can say, oh, what does it mean to put away? Now you can see the translation. You can do the same thing for long, and you see under long, what are the different translations of the word long? So do that.
So long for, desire,
Crave, right. And so that gives you immediately a range of meanings. That would be the same as, so you basically, what you just did is you generated a lexical entry in a sense, or a dictionary entry. You say, what are the range of senses? Logos, the word sense in logos means the particular way that you're supposed to understand that word in its usage in this context. So if you look at a dictionary entry for a single word, so say long, you looked up the word long in the dictionary, you're going to have lots of different potential meanings. So you can say, but what is the sense that I'm supposed to understand it in this verse? So you go on and look at that list of dictionary definitions from the context to pick the meaning that he meant. It can't mean all of them. It's going to mean one. And so when you see the word sense in logos, that's what that means. They're saying it's the dictionary, the particular dictionary entry for that word. Among all the possible senses that a word could be understood, it's that one. So that's clear. Anytime you see the word sense, you're trusting somebody's interpretive call, right? So the Greek word in and of itself could mean any number of things, but it can't mean all of them. And it's up to the interpreter to choose and understand which one it means here. But when you hover over a word, you see all the different translated as, you can understand, here's these translators who worked hard at this passage. Here's the senses that they gave it. They translated it into these different English ways.
Is there a way to tell your info that you want to see the sense that logos assigns to a word?
So logos doesn't assign, what do you mean the sense that logos assigns?
It seems like if you're using some of the other guides and things, it will tell you the sense of a word in its context. Is there a way to make that pop up in the info?
I don't believe so.
Also, Derek just pointed out that he now has a screen.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
I wonder if we should try to do that. Can you guys see that fine?
It's pretty small.
Let's,
Right?
yeah, let's try to set up on the screen.
John, just slide this table over.
Or,
Oh,
that could work.
Well, that helps.
Oh,
Let's do that.
Wow.
great.
How can we see? Let's get
Guess I
that,
keep
that
walking
box.
back and they'll be able to read it. Awesome.
Back.
Here, so let's scoot this over. For those who are watching on YouTube, we're just changing the classroom.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Much.
Did
Now you
Maggie
just
say
stand
she
up
was
here with
okay?
a pointer.
Is Maggie not well?
I have not heard from Maggie. I heard from the Elder Pagels. So I don't know. Maggie, we miss you.
Yes.
So anyway, that wasn't what we were going to do. We were going to say, how do you search then for this word? Let's search on the word put. Let's look at the different ways that we could search on the word put. So we're very interested. You're interested in what that word put means there. So let's say that we're studying this passage and we look. So we understand the different senses that it can have. It can have laying aside, put away, rid yourself of. Right? So we automatically already know from the different ranges of translated meanings that it can at least mean those things, especially when used like this. But let's say, how else did Peter use that word? Let's see, did Peter use that word in any other places? So what you do is you're going to right-click on the word put. And you have lots of different options. But the first thing you need to do whenever you right-click, remember this, whenever you right-click on a word or a section of words, you need to immediately go over to the right panel and make sure that you're on the right, that you're telling it what you meant to select. We're not meaning to select the English word put. We could do that. Watch what happens if I select the English word put, and I'm going to do a search this resource for the word put. What I just did was I searched the English Bible and it was whatever Bible I chose. So I said this resource, and I was in the ESV, so I chose the ESV. It searched the English Bible for every usage of the word put. Not very helpful. It might be, you could do that on a word like righteousness, and that may or may not be helpful, or the word holy, or Lord, or God, and you might actually get a whole different range of different Greek words that they never would have associated with each other. And then you might have a question of how would the Greek readers of the Old Testament, what would they understand with that word? You can, in Logos, you can say, don't only search my Greek New Testament, but I want to search the Greek Old Testament. So I want to see, and that's called the Septuagint, or the LXX. You say, what were the uses of that Greek word in the Greek version of the Old Testament? And what were the Hebrew words underlying it? You can do all of that really easily, but you're not going to get there if you search on the English word put. That you almost never will want to do that. So you need to make sure that you didn't have the English word put selected. So what will we want to select? If we want to learn more about this word, its different usages, what are we going to select from this right column? Lemma, right. Because lemma means the dictionary entry. So it's all the different ways that that word can be mangled. Like, so if you saw the word children in a sentence, and you wanted to learn more about the English use of children, you're not going to look up the word children. You're going to look up the word child, right? You're not going to look up pudding in the English dictionary, or you're not going to only want to search for all the uses of the word putting. You're going to look up put in all of its different conjugations, all of its different variations. Does that make sense? So you're going to want to look up everything off of the Greek lemma. And you see right there the basic entry definition is lay aside or take off. We already knew that. Do you guys see that? It's going to be a little bit different in yours.
Five, it doesn't. But I mean,
It'll say lemma.
Do we need to look up?
No.
Or
So you're on lemma.
Okay.
So you're first on lemma. You go over there. Now you move your cursor back over to the left, and here's your different options that you can do. Okay? Does that make sense?
Like a word study.
So now you can do things like you can copy that Greek word. So if you wanted to do a search or stick that Greek that lemma in something, now if you hit copy, you're going to be copying the lemma. We can look it up. What we're going to do is we're going to actually search. Let's search the entire New Testament for the usage of this verb. How would you do that? You go to the lemma, search this resource. Do you see that?
One that says inline and the other doesn't say that.
Right, so inline should be on Logos 6 only. I'll show you what inline does. I don't think anybody else has inline. Inline does what's called it keeps the window open, and it drops down the search bar right here so that you don't have to go to a separate window. And what it did was it opened up my Bible to all those different places, showed it in context. This is the Logos 6 only feature. It's pretty cool because it shows you in your... Anyway, but it's different. We're not going to do that. We're going to close that inline by clicking this X here, if you have it. We're going to close the inline, just go to our Bible, but it makes you not have to open another window. And you can open that inline thing at any point by going Control F. And that opens your inline search if you're in Logos 6. But what we did was we put lemma, search this resource. And now what we did was we generated a list of every time that Greek verb is used in the New Testament. So that's going to be a little more helpful.
Now mine came up over there. So did I do something?
No, that's okay. You can move it however you want.
Okay.
I've got 9 places. Is that correct?
We have 8.
Too many.
Your Bible's messed up.
Sorry, I got to log on.
Maybe one somewhere. Original ESV. Oh, I wonder if there's one. Is there a
There's
verse
one that
a
has 2.
price?
Yeah, it has a
Yeah.
2 probably. Or we have 8 results and 8 verses. We can figure out why yours is different. Did you search on the lemma?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I
So anyway, you have this. This generates the Greek. How would you change this to a different version?
Up there in that where it says ESV with a dotted line under it.
Correct. That's how you would change it right there. So you can just type NASB there, and then you can search aligned verses. Just give you a list. If you go to the verses, you can now actually see it in two different versions.
If you go to what?
The verses, you have grid,
Oh, okay.
verses, aligned, or analysis. Analysis is a little bit more complex. We're not going to look at that. Just click on verses. You can see it in two different places.
Okay, so is that because you have 6 that it stayed in both ESV and NAS?
Does your verses not do that?
Mine just switched to NAS.
You can add a version.
Oh, right here.
Add versions. If you're in a previous one and you click on verses, there's a little thing that says add verses underneath it. Or add versions underneath it. That's how you would, if you're in a not 6 version, you can click add versions and then that'll let you compare side by side. So that's a quick way to do what you would have had to do in the olden days. You guys maybe have done that, right? You got your Strong's Concordance, figured out what the Strong's number of the word is that you're looking up, and then flip to that word. And how long would that take?
Long time.
Right, so I'd say if you were really, really fast at it, you could maybe do that in 30 seconds. If you were really fast and you already had it out. But it would probably take you more like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You would have forgotten why you started carrying at the beginning by the time you finished. And it would have just broken your entire study, which is why that kind of thing doesn't, it just probably isn't a helpful part of your study unless you're doing sermon prep and you really want to go through each word and understand. So now you can actually, without getting too distracted, find the different senses, right, initially just through a hover. You could look up, you're saying, does Peter use this any other way? No, it's not a word that Peter used a lot. But there's going to be times when you look up a word and you're like, oh, I know he's talked about that somewhere else. Do a quick search and you can immediately see right before your eyes every time that he's talked about that word every time he's used that word in the book. So we'll find some of those. So anyway, that's one way to do a search. Another way, you search this resource. A morph search. We're not going to do that quite yet. A morph search would look for that word in that exact same usage. So it would look up. You could look up. See it if you look down here. It's an aorist verb. It's a verb in the aorist middle tense. It's a participle, plural, nominative. We aren't going to go into what all of those things mean, but we are going to talk right now about, you need to know if it's a noun, a verb, an adjective, and you need to know if it's a verb. Is it a command? Is it indicative? Is it imperative? Is it imperative, participle, or indicative?
What's the difference between morph search with just the lemma versus morph search with the lemma and the morphology after it?
So a morph search, let's just... this is just looking up the lemma. A morph search is simply looking up the lemma, but it will, since you're in, that's not doing, the morph search with the morphology after it will only return the exact same things. So the morph search actually isn't doing anything different yet, but it's setting you up to change it.
Oh, okay.
But this search will only show you, this will launch it in analysis. It gives you the senses, and it will align. It's only showing you the plural participles, masculine. So it's only showing you the ones that match exactly. If you can see that, it puts it in the table, and it's only showing you the search results that match exactly that usage. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's only returning participles, plural aorist participles. Does that make sense? The other one at this point isn't doing anything different. But you can do some things. It's launching it. And you could get to there if you search this resource. If you just click up here on morph, you get that exact same return. It's just launching you into morph to start. And we'll get into what these things mean in a second. But up at the top, all right, so let's do this now. So search put, just how we did. I'm going to get to your same screen. You see up at the top of your search screen how you have basic, Bible, media. What else do you have? Do you have clause,
Image.
morph, and syntax? And you have image as well? You have image instead of media?
Oh yeah, I made filter.
Yeah, so if you ever search for something and you get a funny answer, it's not what you thought or it looks like this. What you just did, if you search for basic, you're searching your entire library. So you have to know on your search window, just like on your right-click menu, you have to understand the lay of the land. On your search menu, you have to make sure that you know where you're at. We're going to go through basic, Bible, and media today.
So should we be on basic?
No, basic will return. Basic's going to return you a whole lot of stuff that you're probably not interested in because it's wasting a lot of processing power searching a lemma through a lot of resources that aren't even lemma tagged. You're going to only want Bible, and it's not returning this in an optimal format. So you want to be on Bible when you're searching for Bible. But say that you were wanting to search for I won't go there yet. I was going to search for infants and milk or something like that. If you wanted to search your whole library, let's do that. Let's search your whole library. If you're saying, where is somebody talking about infants and milk in the context of 1 Peter 2? Right? You want to see, how would you do that? You want to say, I want to see where, all of my books, I want to see that discussion. You click on search up here, the search bar, the find icon. Launch your search window. And we're not going to search right here. If I were to start typing infants or milk, near,
Does it have to be all in caps? Is that
or does if you're doing a if you're doing a Boolean search, if you're doing anything where it's and or near and not and or, those all have to be all caps to tell it. So what I'm doing right here is I'm going to search infants or milk near 1 Peter 2, 1 through 2. That looks like,
Is that a +1?
no, so I'll tell you what we wrote. So you write infants or milk, and you do that in parentheses. So what that's doing is that's saying anything you put in parentheses, you're saying, I want to consider that one thing. So search my whole library for anything that has infants or milk in it.
And you have that in parentheses?
Put that in parentheses. So the way that Logos is going to handle that is it's going to search. It's going to return millions of things. If it has infants or milk next to it, it's going to return a ton of stuff. But you're saying, let's click up on basic, not Bible, because if you search the Bible for infants or milk, you're going to get every instance in the Bible where infants or milk is discussed. I'm not looking in the Bible for those things. There's 67 results and 66 verses where the Bible mentions milk or infants in English in the ESV. We're going to basic. You want to make sure you're on the right search screen. You're saying don't just search Bible, search basic. And if I do that, can you imagine how many things in my... There's 53,943 results and 29,584 articles. I don't want to scroll through all of that. So what do I want to say? I'm saying I only want to do that near, or a discussion, or you can say and, but near lets it be not exactly close. Just saying in the near context, so it's defined that by a number of, I think it defines that like in the same paragraph and a certain number of characters away. near 1 Peter 2, 1 through 2. And the way that you want to tell it to do 1 Peter, put it in the little caret brackets. I don't know what you call those. The little pointy parentheses.
That's right before 1 on First Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are those called? They're above the comma and the period on your keyboard.
Near carrots, arrow.
Yeah, I don't know what you call those, but
Carrots.
carrots. Are they called carrots?
Carrots.
All right, we'll call it carrots.
There is
1 Peter 2, 1 through 2.
greater and less than.
That's what I.
Oh yeah, greater than less than.
what I
That's
was
what they really are.
There
Okay.
you go, you teacher, you.
Less than 1 Peter 2, 1 through 2. Greater than.
Such an encourager, sir.
Oh.
So you want to type.
You've heard that before.
Anytime you search for a verse range like that, you want to put it in the greater than, less than signs, because then what if a version just said first P, 1P, 2, 1 through 2, right? If you searched Google wouldn't know. Google doesn't know Bible, so it wouldn't know that you're searching for First Peter 2, 1 through 2 if they had written, 1 PE 2, 1 through 2. So what you're doing is you're saying, look on anything that's tagged as a Bible that's looking for that. So that's how you search for. Does that make sense? That's how you search for Bible verses. Now you hit enter.
So these symbols tell it to look for your Bible reference.
Look in a Bible reference, yeah. So now what I have is in my Bible, it's going to reference all kinds of commentaries here and other discussions. And we're going to later talk about how you can do. I can search once you create collections, which we will do in a later class, I hope. I can search my journals for discussions on infants and milk in the context of that.
So in the one that you just had before that, you searched all text and what?
Everything.
Everything. Okay. So
And that's
for
going to
us-
return still 2,140 results.
For us, that would be entire library.
Yeah, that's your entire library, thank you. And then once you get collections, you can define small collections for doing that. So anyway, that's how you could get more information.
Mine looks a little bit different.
And where's everything? I'm not seeing everything.
Uh-huh.
So,
That's the same.
oh, you do by
Yeah, if you search by title, then you can do drop downs.
Makes sense.
If you're seeing it not with little book titles, you want to change by resource or by title. Otherwise, it'll show you individual things. So anyway, this is how you could search for discussions for where it talks about those things. You could change this. You could change that to and instead of near as well.
in there. I get it.
Are there any other handy dandy little words that we should know for when we're searching, like besides near?
Yeah, there's all kinds of them, and it will. Do you have a little thing down here? Your proximity is before, after, near.
How did you pull this up?
This is in 6 down on the. It shows it in the background. It should show it to you on 5 and 6, just in the back. Does yours not do that?
I'm not getting. How would I define that? What background? Apparently, it's in the deep background.
No. Why? Because you're
I'm
not.
not space. Deep
Oh,
space.
I think so you didn't want us to do basic.
No, you do want. Sorry,
You do want-
Or
you do
it's
want
in
basic.
white.
If you're
Okay,
searching
sorry.
for
Let
it.
me
See
see
it. Thank you.
background.
Do you not have that in 5 or 6? So that's a.
That's still not what I want.
Yeah. So you notice it's giving you in 5. You're running 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing you cheaters in the background. It's showing you how to do that. Yeah, so if you hit enter, it'll search your library for that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you do it. A search. Searching is like programming. So you can do like within 4 words of, Sarah. There's all kinds of tutorials. We can't go through all that right now. But there's or, and, before, after, with, and equals, which is in the same location. Before, like you can say before 4 words or after, within 4 words.
Thank you.
We'll go through some of those things later. But that's another way that you could quickly do a quick search on stuff. But that's not something you're going to do all the time that you're studying a passage. So we've now done on the word put away. We've looked up. We've searched this resource, right? So you generated your own concordance. You now know how to search your library for discussions about it. But Bible word study will be a good friend of you. If you have Logos on an iPhone or an Android, you have access to this. If you have it here, quick Bible word study, click on that. It's going to do all of the work in the background for you.
Okay, wait a minute, how did you do that, please?
How do we go back?
So right click on the word,
Oh, okay.
make sure you're on lemma,
You haven't opened another window, Jamie?
Oh, yes.
and go to Bible word study.
Oh,
Bible word study generates a report for you where what it does is it goes through all of your prioritized lexicons and will give you the basic word entry there. So now I can see all of my lexicons and the entries, and I can take notes on that. It will save this word study, so that if I ever do a word study in the future on this, I can know that I've done it. So I can say I can look in my different dictionaries, come up with some information, and I can say basic or consistent sense of this word is to remove something from my immediate presence. Like if that's what I've come up with is the common meaning of that. I'm writing this down. Next window down. Does that make sense? So
Where would that be stored? I mean,
that's
if I-
stored in the Bible word study document. This created another document that's going to be in your Logos library forever. And I'm going to tell you when we get to the end of this how to find it again in the future. So, because that's key. If you're going to do a lot of work on a word, and you're not going to necessarily do that on this word, but say that you're studying a word like righteousness, or I did for communion a while ago, propitiation. I spent a lot of time studying the word propitiation. I might want to find that word study again in the future. I'll show you how to do that. So the next thing down, you see a pie chart. You want to get very used to seeing these pie charts. They're pretty powerful. So what it does is in your main translation, in your top prioritized translation, which for me is my ESV, for you I believe is, for many of you it's the NAS, and you can change what it searches in the settings window. So I could change that to match yours. I could change that to NAS right now. What it did was it searched on the lemma and showed me all of the different translations of that word. So I can look up every time that word is translated, putting aside, and it shows me there's 2. I could search every time that it's translated lay aside, 3 different times, put aside, 1 time, laid aside. Or I can click in the middle and it shows me all of the different words. What it just did here was it generated that, what we did with the search, this resource, it generated my concordance for me in the report. Does that make sense? And you can do this on your mobile app as well. So I'll do that on my iPhone really fast. Sorry for you at home, you're not going to be able to see it. You would navigate on your iPhone to this verse. 1 Peter 2:1. It should work on your Android as well. So I'm going to click and hold on the word put, and you go to look up. What that initial screen will do is it'll show me the same information as when I hover, as what pops up on the bottom. Right? It gives me the Greek word, the lemma, and then all the morphology information. Now what I want to do is Bible word study. And it's searching on the reverse interlinear, shows me my lexicons just the same as this one did. So I can look it up in the dictionaries. And then it showed me, it's not going to give me all the information, but it's showing me in my main translation the different words, or the different ways that that's translated. So put is blue, laid is red, aside is green. So I can click there and quickly see all the different usages in the New Testament. So even when you're quickly reading on your phone, you can generate. You can't do a search this resource as well. You can, but not as well. But you can generate a Bible word study that'll show you all of the different ways that it's used, and it generates this little pie graph. Okay,
Can you do that on the iPad?
you can.
By holding
Same
it?
way, yeah. So you click and hold on the word, and it'll give you the information. Now, in my next one down, you guys, it should be the same. It'll have a Septuagint translation. Is that right? So what this is doing, Septuagint translation, is it's going to look back at the Greek translation of the Old Testament. So it's not looking at the Hebrew primarily. It's looking at the Greek translation of the Old Testament. It's the same thing that the disciples and Jesus would have read as their primary Bible at that time. So if you want to say so say you have usage of the word kurios in the New Testament, Lord, right? If you look up the usage of the word kurios in the New Testament, and then you look at this section, you're going to actually see Yahweh show up. Let's find in the New Testament a place where the word Lord is.
So they were using Septuagint in the time of Jesus?
They were. So you go to Lemma, Kurios, Bible word study.
We have to go to a verse or what?
Oh, I went to 1 Peter 2:3.
First reading.
Okay, so lemma, and then you said Bible word study.
Mm-hmm. And now you're going to get to see all of the different translations of Lord, of Kurios in the New Testament. Lord, Master, Sirs, Owner. Right? So you can have, there's quite a few, 656 uses of this word in the New Testament. What about the Old Testament? What were the Hebrew words that were translated?
So, as you say, there was 600, what do you say, 656?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, and this isn't a big deal, but I just want to know how it generates this. Does it vary? Because mine says 660. I mean, why would it be off? Or would it be different?
Different reverse interlinear, perhaps?
Well, I mean, ESV, would that make a difference?
I don't know. I will work on that. I'll work on
No,
figuring
no,
out
well,
why.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I just wonder.
I've seen that reported in the forums
712.
That's what mine says, 712.
for when you search on Kurios.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was
In the net.
713
In the
ESV.
How many?
713.
Isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it
Oh, a lot of those?
656? Lord, let me do this. $713 and 656. So are you guys getting 713?
Yes.
713.
Right. So there's 713 results and 656 verses. So yours is showing you the number of results. If it shows up twice, mine's reporting the number of verses in which it's found. So that's where that difference is
Number
coming.
of kids work number of words in book. So take up the web.
Okay.
Oh,
Hey, Jake.
Yeah.
When I hover over
Oh,
is that what you was asking?
color,
So
I get this. Is that kind of the same as this?
Mhm.
Or
brings it out.
No, what you're doing when you do that is it's actually generating the it's doing a reverse. It's doing a search for the word Lord, and it's showing you all the different Greek words that were translated. So we're gonna do that in a second. All right. So do you see here how you have all the different ways that the Greek is translated into English, and now you have down in the second all the different ways that the Greek was translated from Hebrew. Does that make sense? So you can see that actually in the Greek translation of the Old Testament, the word kurios, greater than 50% of the time, came from the word Yahweh. So when they say the Lord, so that might help you understand what they meant when they were calling Jesus Lord. It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't mean that it always has to mean Yahweh, right? Because you certainly have times, even in. So you don't want to make more than out of that than you should. Because if you look at the Greek, if you look here, you can say, oh wow, a lot of times it's just sirs. That's the same word, kurios. So you don't want to. You have to know our limitations here. You're not a Greek speaker. You don't want to overstate your case. You just want this to help you accurately understand what's the senses, what are the range of usages of the word kurios. But you certainly, through doing this, can understand that the Old Testament Yahweh, in your mind, when you were referring to God as Lord or Jesus as Lord, kurios, you had in the back of a Greek Bible reader's mind Yahweh. Or that certainly was a possibility.
It seems like it would be translated a little bit different.
But it meant Lord, right? Owner of a slave, owner of a vineyard, a title of respect.
That's what our English language lends for them to use.
Right, but I think you had that in Greek as well. You still had some ambiguity. You know, my Lord said to my Lord. The translation from Psalm when David was referring to himself as Lord and Yahweh as Lord, you had some confusion there because in Greek that was the same word, Lord and Lord. There's some ambiguity in Greek, just like there would be in English on this. But this just helps you get behind the scenes. It'll help you evaluate a commentator's statement. If they make some statement, you can say, let me check that real fast. Oh, there's 99% of the time this is the usage. You can say, is that real? Do a quick search and you can find out. So anyway, this is a powerful tool. It'll show you your senses, right? Lord, Word of God, Master of World, Face of God, Gospel of Jesus, Master. Anytime when you see the word senses, you know this is an interpretational call. Somebody that Logos hired went through and said, in these usages, this is when it's used as master.
Jacob, for some reason, I'm not getting that.
Senses is a Logos 6 tool, I believe, or something. It might be a 5.
Senses, but we don't have
It just comes up under a separate bullet.
So we won't go there. This is senses is one of the things that they spent a lot of time and money on for 6. I won't go there, but that's something where it is helpful. And where you said, can you see the sense that Logos is assigned to it?
I saw it came up on the right-click menu. So.
Right, you can get senses in the right-click menu. So anyway, we won't go there. What we will do is clause participants. Do you guys, this is something that you guys have in, go to grammatical relationships in 5 and 6, or 4 and 5.
Grammatical relationships.
Grammatical relationships. This is
So you have to
helpful.
click on a word first to do that, and then right click, is that what?
No, yeah, if you're in a word study, so you're in a
okay.
word study, scroll down to grammatical relationships.
Are we still doing Lord or we?
Yeah, do Lord, because this will be helpful. Or we could do put off, it might be easier. Let me see what put off does.
You said stay where you are.
Yeah,
Okay,
stay
just
with
keep going down and go
stay with Bible word study. I'm sorry, we should have. I wish I could have multiple versions running, but I can't.
You know what, Jacob? You don't need to apologize for anything. This is so cool. I just wish I could get better.
I'm not seeing that. Are you seeing that?
Grammatical relationships is in yours. You have that?
Okay, you go down to.
I'm not.
Because you're running 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to go down to.
Oh, I'm in the wrong.
Yeah, you're going to be in Kurios. You're going to go down to.
Just called some. But see how I didn't even have 2.
It's because you don't own 6, and you don't have 6 packs, and you don't have the data sets to power this.
Because I just have the basic 6.
You don't even have the basic 6, right? You own like a 4 or 5.
Oh,
You
I
installed 6.
downloaded. I upgraded to 6.
You upgraded to 6, okay.
So it should be right.
Should be, unless did you do a very, very basic?
Yes.
Okay, so
that's why.
So some of the data sets, if you look at the data sets, when you look at the plans, you'll see what they're selling you. But grammatical relationships will show you.
I just scrolled down.
Are we looking at Lord or input?
Let's look at the put off. This, or take layout. That'll be easier because it's a whole lot less information to deal with.
Alright. So,
Just look at grammatical relationships for the verb put off, and you can see the different things that it's commanding you to put off. So what they've defined is what was the subject of the putting off, what's the object of the putting off. Do you guys see that in yours? Subject of. Where are you? You're in Curios. Go to. Yeah, click on that. Scroll down. Scroll down. So what you can.
So it saves what you just did.
Yeah, it saved everything. So what you can do is you can go down here and you can see all the different things in all of those instances that it told you to put off. Put off an outer garment. Click there. They laid down. So now you can see what it's done is they've gone through and they've marked up all of the verbs and they've defined the objects of the verb, the subjects of the verb. So you can do searches on the verb to put off. You can quickly see all of the subjects. Who's the subject? A church. So there's 3 times that a church is told to put something off. There's 2 times that the church in Ephesus is told to put something off. 1 time that John the Baptist is told to put something off. Are you seeing that?
You don't have as
I'm
many.
still not I only have 2 subjects, you and witness.
So you-
And I only have
Yeah.
5 objects. I don't have.
This is probably a bad example because they've done a whole lot of work here in 6.
Are you gonna get commission off
I am not.
this,
I
Jacob?
I get no commissions.
go ahead and tell us how much.
I wish. I've sold so many Logos packages, so I'm not. So we are not. I did not realize that because I knew grammatical relationships. I didn't realize how not fleshed out it was in the 4 and
That's
5.
pretty new.
They were moving towards this. It's pretty powerful when you search for words like holiness. You can say who's described as holy. It'll go through. Here's all the lists where
It's just
God
giving
is
a
described as
incomplete
holy.
List of those.
It's not as fleshed out. It doesn't give you as. Let me see what you have. It should still be accurate. It just won't have as much. So you have put off your object, wickedness, moral uncleanness, all, lie, falsehood. So yours is generated. Yours shows you. Yours
There's
has
the
it.
outer garment. I didn't see.
Yeah. So yours has it.
But you were giving us more subjects. You said the church thing.
They defined them. So what you have is you. What they did was they went through and they defined
Under
the
subject?
antecedents to the pronouns.
I see. Thank
So,
you.
so we figured out what the differences are in 6 and 4 and 5. They've gone through in 6 and they've defined when there's a pronoun you, like you put off. They've gone through and defined who that's referring to, and so that's some of the stuff that's missing. So this is certainly something that you can play with. It's something that's powerful, but you can see how I can start getting distracted here. So I'm showing you that this is here. If you're doing a word study, particularly on a key word, know that you can do this and you can just play around here. Don't get, and it'll help you interact with your commentaries, help you to interact with your lexicons. There's a lot to look up here. One of the most powerful things to look up here, and we're going to do this when we sample study a passage. We're going to sample study a passage from James 5 at some point in this class, which I think will help flesh all this out. We're going to see, does the word sick, what might that refer to? What are the different possibilities when James is commanding the sick people? And we're going to see that there's multiple Greek words behind the different translations of the word sick, and we're going to see some of the ways that you might want to interpret, or some possibilities to interpret that text. We will do that there. But I just wanted to show you that this exists. A Bible word study exists. It's an incredibly powerful report. One of the things that you're going to want to know with this is when you generate the study, you take notes in here. You can do this on all guides, on passage guides, on these guides. Take notes, mark up your conclusions. So on Yahweh or Kurios, I might want to say, just make the observation. Majority of Old Testament uses refer to Yahweh. the New Testament reader would have certainly had Yahweh in mind in the range of possible senses when he described Jesus as Kurios. Okay, so I'm going to say that. Now, if I wanted to save this Bible word study, it will be saved. Anything that you do is saved. You're going to find it up under guides. You can search for your passage guides, your word study guides. I clean this out regularly. But, so you're going to have these guides saved up there. But if you wanted to find this later, your verse is not going to tell you that you made a word study on that word. It's not going to pop up with a little note icon. Otherwise, it would be a mess. But what you can do is if you did a lot of work, you can click up here, copy the location of this word study as a URL. Now that word study, that URL, has been copied. A URL is just like a website address. Logos has its own little, like a street address for how to find this. And if I say I close it, I can paste that up here, and it will open that word study right back up. So I can paste it in the command up here, and it'll open that back up. But Open Bible Word Study Kurios, it interpreted that long thing, and it just opens it up. But what I can do is I can go to this word Lord here. I can make a note on it, right? Lord, add note, and I can say, see my note file, or see my word study on Kurios. Paste it, and now I see the word Lord here, and then when I'm there, I can click here. I hover, and it actually shows me my quick word study when I hover for quick, or I can hit Command or Control on the PC, click on it, and it launches it straight out of that note file. So you can do that that's what you're going to want to do anytime you diagram a sentence, anytime you make a really good passage guide, anytime you make a really good word study guide, and you do all the work to mark it up, take notes in there. You say, I'm going to want to see my work there. Copy it as a URL and paste it in a note file. Paste it in a note file so that I can see, oh, I've done that work. Does that make sense?
And so did you attach it just to that particular instance, or did you attach
I
it
attached
every
it to
time?
that particular instance.
Okay.
Because if I don't need to, if I'm searching for the word Lord somewhere else and I launch it, if I launch that word study, it's going to open it back up to the word study that I've already worked on. It's not going to create a new word study in Kurios.
Okay.
It will launch it. So if I have already done a word study on that, it will still, it'll launch that again, and I'll still be able to see my notes. Just like if you do a passage guide again on the same passage that you've already done that for, you will see your notes. But if you wanted to know, to remind yourself, I've already done the work here, let's look, it'll launch it. That's particularly valuable if you've done diagrams. You can post into a note on that verse, see my diagram on that verse. Otherwise, you're not going to remember that you diagrammed that sentence before.
Now, does Logos help diagrams?
There's a sentence diagramming tool.
So you can just push a button and it automatically diagrams?
No, you have to do the work. It just,
No,
it
you
just
have
lays
to.
it
You
out.
have
It makes
to.
it easier to
It makes it
Yes, but
easier
that's
to do it
$20,000.
pretty. But you don't want that. The beauty of a sentence diagram isn't the final result. It's the process of generating it, because it makes you think through every word, or if you do a block diagram, it makes you think clause by clause. The final result isn't what you're going for. It's so much as the process to get there. Because it's a sentence diagram is an interpretive call. If you have a pretty complex sentence and you give Smed and Scott say diagram this sentence, you're gonna come up with two different. Most of the time, they're gonna look a little different. Look a little bit. Certainly, a block diagram will. And many times, you're gonna, especially if you're saying, you have a phrase. Does it modify the verb or the object. It could be in that verb. If you've taken Smith's diagramming for dummies class, you've seen some of that. That there's some interpretive calls in diagrams. But the main thing is so you can't just click a button. You don't want to do that. There are tools that'll help you. In 6, I don't think it's in 5. You can click here, click on your little round things, and you can go to propositional outlines, and it will it'll generate a rough block diagram for you. This is somebody's interpretive call.
Is it called something else? That's 6 though.
It's in 6 only. So that's something that you can get in 6.
And you found that where?
The round circle things, propositional outlines, and that's a 6. That's a 6 feature. Right? That's roughly what you guys were asking about the ESV HD New Testament. Some of the same data from that was put into that. What they've done is in all of your main reversing interlinears, they've given it a propositional outline where it'll say main clause, subordinate, and sort of try to describe what the role of that clause was. Again, that's interpretive. That's not inherent in the text always, but it's helpful.
It gets you started.
Yeah, it's helpful.
How much is it to go from 5 to 6?
It depends on your base package and what you have.
This is fairly new, right?
If
Yeah,
you
they said because it just got this summer.
You're-
If I call someone, they'll come and look at me.
yeah, no, so you're not having to rebuy. You'll never have to rebuy what you already own. When you're upgrading from 4 to 6, you have to buy all the data sets that came out in 5 and 6.
Yeah.
If you own 5, then you're only buying the data sets that come out in 6, and then you can look at the different packages to say I want a minimal cross grade, which just gives you just the bare minimum data sets to run 6. Or you can look at the different packages and all the different data sets that are in them. And data sets are the behind the scenes stuff that power these reports. So things like senses, you'll see speaker information.
You don't just automatically go if you've got platinum, you don't just get the 6 platinum automatically.
You can, but you don't have to upgrade to platinum. You could upgrade to 6 bronze from a 5 platinum, and it's not like you downgraded to bronze. You just got the data sets and the new books that are in 6 bronze. So when you look it up on web, you're going to look at the new to you section. So when you look at a new base package, there's a report that says new to you, meaning what's new to you in this base package, and it will show you. I can help any individuals out who want to do that, who want to go through it. I can help show you what the different things are. But the new to you will show you what you get new in that base package. So no, if you own, say, platinum in 5, you don't have to buy platinum in 6. You can buy bronze in 6. You didn't downgrade. You never lose anything. You're only getting the new stuff that's in 6 bronze or 6. I don't even remember what they call them.
Thank you.
Wow, I got way off topic of where I wanted to go. We are going to go. We were searching.
Yes,
We were learning how to search. So we know now how to search a reverse interlinear. What if we want to search for all of the imperative verbs? So now we know how to search for words in Greek. We know how to search for the Greek lemma. Do we know how to search for English words? Everybody see if you can figure out now how to search your English Bible for the English word Philippi. Come up with something easier to spell. Ephesus.
So you have to find an occurrence of that word.
Yeah,
first.
everybody search. You don't have to.
You don't?
No. You can search, you can click up on the, so you could, so if you found an occurrence, you could do a simple command F, and that'll search inline for Ephesus. That's like the same as command F on your web browser. Or you could right click on the word Ephesus, go to the English word Ephesus, and search this resource. Did you guys see how I did that?
No.
So there's multiple, I'll show you all the different ways. So you can do quick command F, it'll launch the inline search, and you can type the word Ephesus. If you're staring at the English word Ephesus, So that's one way. That's a quick and dirty search. That just shows you the next one. Didn't generate new reports. If I want to search for the English word Ephesus and I'm staring at the word Ephesus, I can right click on it, go to the English word selection, search this resource, and that just generated my concordance based on the English word Ephesus. Did that make sense? Right click, make sure that you're on English Ephesus. It doesn't really matter, your lemma will probably be the exact same, but click on the English word Ephesus, search this resource. Are you guys lost?
I'm okay.
It's hard to watch and do it at the same time.
It's okay, everybody do that.
Oh.
And then as soon as you do that, I'll tell you the third way.
I'm sorry, can you go back a step, so I have Ephesus?
Right click.
Oh, then we just do that.
Search.
Can you right click? Let me go to the English word Ephesus. And now search this resource. Okay, now that just generated you an English return. But say that you don't have it open, you're just saying, man, I want to search my Bible for all this instances of Ephesus. You're coming from a blank. Pretend you just opened up Logos for the first time, like where's Ephesus? You just click up here on the search thing. You want to make sure that you're on Bible and search for Ephesus. Okay? But say that you wanted a picture of Ephesus or a map of Ephesus. How would you find that?
Images.
Image.
Images, yeah. In 6, images got a little more powerful.
So how'd you do that?
Well, I have a lot more resources than you do.
How did you get to that?
Up on the top, where you have media,
He has basic Bible morph. and
you have
syntax.
Babel, basic Bible, media. You guys have images here.
Okay.
Instead. You guys have images, right? You have 4, huh? If you have 4,
Well, I think we downloaded. What's it called?
if you have 4, the way that you do it
Oh,
is basic. It's okay. You guys all need to just have it installed.
well, we don't know. We thought we did, but that may or may not be true. I thought I did my best. I did do my best. Good job. It's not true, but
That's
that's good.
all we can ask. But for 5 and 6, you guys have this, right? To where you can go 5. Yes, you have it. And so you can quickly search for Ephesus, media. Are you getting it?
So, where's my English over
Right
here?
here.
Yeah, okay, so that's it. Okay.
Now search.
Where?
You can do this for
Is your source
change
change?
it to media.
Oh, here. Sorry.
Up.
Oh, yeah.
See if you
You're not going to have all of them. You have some.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
So what that does is
Cool enough.
it will generate. It'll look for any image in your resource, any image in your library. It could be in a commentary. It could be in a book called Ephesus, or that has Ephesus in the description. So you can quickly get lots of descriptions. So you could search for Ephesus and goddess. So I'm going to search then for images that might refer to goddess worship in Ephesus. And you see now I'm starting to get, which could get crazy. I probably should have picked something else. But you can see then, Logos actually has, if you're doing a presentation, Logos 6, just so you know, has things called, in the media library, they have things called visual copy that go quickly into a presentation. So like if you want to make a slide, they've actually started to work. So they've made a slide that just immediately goes into PowerPoint. on this. If you wanted to use it, show a picture of Artemis, say what it is. So these are things that are in 6, not necessary, but pretty cool. Go ahead.
So it's different than when if you write, like on 5 we right click it, you can send it to PowerPoint.
You still can, but these are pre-made slides.
Oh, I see.
I was just showing you that's the difference.
Oh.
But Ephesus and map, or whatever, you can do that. If you do Ephesus and map, if you're getting lots of random returns and you want to make sure it's a map, you can say and map, and that'll help you find a map of Ephesus. Anyway, so this is how you'd search for images. If I want to search my Bible, make sure you click on Bible. Basic, make sure you click on Basic. They did these to make it very efficient to bounce around between searches, but I've noticed a lot of people get lost because they don't remember to click on the right type of search. Okay? So now we know how to search 3 different ways for the word Ephesus, and you can do it any of those ways. Right click, you can do the inline, you can click on the search thing. But how would I search, say, the letters of Paul for every imperative verb?
But you can check which passages you're going to look at.
Right, so let's go search. We're not going to go Bible, because you can't within Bible do that, but we're going to go morph. Morphological search. Morph is the form that a word takes. And so what you want to do is search. You want to define your passage set. So you could define this however you want. They have some pre-made ones. Or you can do, we're going to say letters, we'll say letters of Paul down on the bottom.
Pauline epistles.
You could say Pauline epistles. That would be even,
It's a predefined one already.
is it a predefined one?
Yeah.
Good. I didn't see it when I was skimming. Oh, there it is. Pauline epistles. But we could have made that ourselves too.
How do you make it yourself?
Let's do pastoral epistles, unless that's already in there too.
It is.
So what are we going to do right?
But if you wanted to make your own, you would just define it as new reference range, type your name, Pauline epistles, and then, new reference range, you type the letters. So you type first Romans through, what's the last one? Titus, Jude. No, pastoral epistles would be through, Pauline epistles would be through Philemon. Philemon comes after the. So your range, you could define it however you want. Does that make sense? You good there? So we're going to define it. We're going to search in not pastoral epistles, Pauline epistles.
So mine says search surface text. Is that what we want? I think we just changed it.
We want to search all morph text.
I don't have that option anymore.
I know, might be on my one too.
Morph right here.
Surface text. Let me see what you got.
So the morph went away.
Let's move this over here. Morph. All morph text.
Why would it make a difference in the word? Okay, interesting.
Okay, and we want this with Logos Greek morphology.
Yeah, you could do Logos Greek morphology. So the last thing what you're doing is you're choosing who you want to. You're telling it. Am I searching Aramaic, Greek, or Hebrew? You have to make sure you're on the right set. And then some of them will have different people's interpretation of it. But so make sure you're on Greek because we're searching in the New Testament. Now the way you start a morph search is you start with the @ sign. So you could search for all of the verbs in the pastoral epistles, so we're going to click on the word verb. And now it shows you all the different types of verbs.
Whoa.
So we are going to search for all of the imperative verbs. And we don't care about anything else for right now. You can certainly search for for anything here, but we're going to search for the imperative verbs from all of the Pauline epistles. Is that what we're doing? The Pauline epistles, all of the imperative verbs. And you can see that the code is
V.
at V, question, because it goes tense, voice, mood, person, number, case, gender. So the question just means I don't care what tense it is, I don't care what voice it is, I just want the mood.
I just automatically did it.
So go imperative and hit enter. That's going to take a second. I maybe should have
Zero
chosen.
results.
Hmm?
0 results I
It should give you a lot more than that. It's because you're.
420.
got. I got 0 also.
You have
Huh? This is our resources. The Greek. That's crazy. Here it comes.
Oh, no,
Christian Greek.
Oh, over here.
surface text.
You got green.
That's right.
I'm just getting green.
Surface text.
I gotcha.
Yeah, make sure it's morph.
Oh,
Who else had 0?
Did you do Greek morphology?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're searching for all the Greek verbs. You don't want to do that.
Okay, well, I did it.
Click on verb. Click on imperative. No, that's imperfect.
Oh.
So imperative.
Thank you.
You need to make sure you're in the Bible.
Oh, oh wait, morph, not Bible.
No, morph. I'm sorry. She wasn't defining which Bible was
But I
seen.
did get it, like those greens. I didn't see, I don't think you.
How does she
Oh,
get
wait.
I have it
He
in.
did.
Greek?
So I have analysis,
Yeah.
so I can bounce it. Analysis will make it look like mine. Aligned will show you the verbs over and over again. And since you're looking at Nestle Land, you probably don't want that. Click here and just change that to ESV or NASB or whatever you want. Makes sense? So aligned will show you the verbs themselves. So say that you wanted to search for all of the commands in the book of Ephesians. I can do that. I just got a list of all of the commands from the book of Ephesians.
Will you do that one more time?
Just change your range. Change your range to Ephesians. You can type Ephesians down at the bottom. New reference range, Ephesians. I could search for all of the commands in the book of Philemon. There's 4. So you can do that, but you might not want to. So there's certainly power to that. You aren't going to do that every day, but it's good to know that you can. Okay. You can search for every time that I won't get into that right now. So I could get us way down a rabbit trail with this, and I'm not going to do that because we now need to take this and generate. Now we're set up to generate what I have right here, where you can see in the book of Revelation, your imperatives jump out and your participles are obvious. Those, in my experience, are 2 very, very powerful overlays to a text. You can do others. Some are really helpful for sometimes. So basically what an overlay does like this is it's called a visual filter. It does this search in the background, and then you said, so this imperative, all this green text, I said, search my Greek New Testament for all of the imperative verbs and mark them up green. Okay, so I told it to do that, and I can take that markup off and on by scrolling down to, see I have visual filters, I have imperative Greek verbs in green, I can take that off, I can put it on. Okay, and you can do that in multiple different, you can come up with all the different visual filters you want. So let's do that now. Let's make that.
You know what, Jacob, you must have been 10th mind because mine's like that.
No, we did yours.
Oh, we did?
We made that for you. But so now you understand. Now you understand. So now you understand how to do a morph search and what a morph search is. But let's create a morphological search tied to a visual filter and to change the text to a certain color. So you guys probably know enough right now to do that. You do, but you just don't know it. So you just go to Documents, right? Because you want to make a new document. And you're going to go to Visual Filter, New. Now what kind? The first thing you want to do when you make any kind of anything, and look at in Logos, you want to make sure you're on the right type. The visual filter is at the basis of it, it's a search. So look up at my screen. You have the 3 basic search fields that we've just been using. I can do a basic search where I can search my entire library for every time that the word first is used. Say I want to do that. If I wanted, say an author says first or second, I want that to jump out at me because that's a transition word. Or I wanted the therefores to be bold. I just want to make sure I see every time. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if you did want to do that, you could. You would do a basic search, and I could type therefore. Every time therefore exists, basic just means in all of my libraries, every time therefore exists, I want to make it bold. Now what I just did is in every book that I have in my library, I'll call this therefores in bold. I'm going to erase that, but that's not a particularly helpful filter for me, I don't think. But it could be, I might grow to like it. In every text that I have, what it just did was search my entire library and probably found a million therefores and marked them all up bold. And I can turn that on and off. So that's a basic search. I'm going to make a new document, a new visual filter. I can do a Bible search. I can do this in Greek, Hebrew, or English, right? It all just depends on what you want to do. So if I want to do a Bible search, see my therefore is bold. If I want to do a Bible search for the word, say I want to do a Bible search for the word kurios, and I'm just going to show you how to do that and wanted to mark it up somehow. What would I do? I'd search, I'd click on the text here, go to lemma, and hit copy. Now what I'm doing is I'm copying the lemma and pasting that in. And so I'm searching all Bible text. I'm going to say kurios in large letters. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but I'm just showing you that I can. Search for kurios, and I'm going to stick it large text. Save that. It now just searched every time that the word kurios is in my Bible, it's making that large text. That's not a particularly helpful one. I'm going to have to get rid of that. We're going to now make equipping our imperative Greek verbs. We'll just call this imperative Greek verbs. Okay?
We're doing this in Bible, or can we do that?
We're going to do this in morph. Thank you. So Bible, so you have to know what you're doing. But at the heart of it, a visual filter is just a search. You're going to treat it the same way as a search. What it's doing is instead of generating the results in the search window, it's marking up the results in line in text. So we're going to go to morph, say all morph text. We're not going to do all passages. We're going to do Greek. We're going to be in the New Testament, right? So say you could say all passages. It's not going to do anything in the Old Testament, but make sure you're in Greek and go to Logos Greek morphology. These others are just other morphological tagging systems. So you could like compare and contrast. Was there any argument between people on if you were? There's probably not any benefit for us, for me, in doing that. But you could, I guess, generate something that would make it obvious where your different morphological tagging said something different. We're going to go to Logos Greek morphology.
What about, is this all resources, New Testament and all resources, or should we just pick it in one Bible?
It depends. If you're only reading in one, you could, but there's no reason not to do it in all resources. If you don't have, say that you're in Holman Christian it can't generate the morphological search because there's no reverse interlinear and no morphological tagging on Holman Christian, right?
So this won't do it in all our commentaries and everything.
No, it can't. It can't do it in your commentaries
They're not.
because because they don't have morphological tagging on Greek words in English.
Gotcha.
But say that you did have, and Logos Greek morphology doesn't address those. So Logos Greek morphology will only address your English New Testaments. Well, you only address your New Testaments. So you will get this if you're looking in Nestle Land. If you're looking at your Greek text, it will still make it green because your Logos Greek morphology has worked on that. So we want all morph texts in all passages or just New Testament, doesn't matter, in all resources with Logos Greek morphology. So this will only deal with texts where Logos Greek morphology has handled it. So how do you bring up your morph cheater? Do you remember the @ sign? You could memorize,
Oh, I have it.
but you type the @ sign, verb, imperative, and just because I do it already, I make it green. You can do whatever you want. Yep, over in formatting. No,
So you don't have to type out verb imperative, you just.
nope, you just select it. So your code is @v question N.
Question.
No, but just type @ it should pop up. It should show. You're not in a visual folder.
Oh, that's where you do
See,
that,
you
got
type-
it.
you type
Imperative.
Up there, got it. Okay, sorry.
You're with us, right?
And then that's the
Time go.
that's the
Oh, I did.
So then go
At
which you already did.
verb, and we're going to do participle in gray.
And that's all participle.
Yep. So a participle, just it's not always, but you can just in your mind add ing to the end, and it'll help you not mistake it for main verbs. That's a helpful thing as you're just skimming. Those are probably the two easiest to do.
How do you add it to their line?
After imperative.
So you've that's it. Hit enter.
Okay, enter.
Is it called something else?
No.
What are you looking for?
Oh, I see.
Participle?
It comes up there.
Then change your formatting.
Okay, do that. So select verb first.
Oh,
Down there at the bottom.
It says
Verb.
part.
Verb.
And if you right click, it tells you what a participle is.
Just hover it
Or if you hover, it tells you what a participle is. But
so the second one. Great, what the, I thought I already had done that one. I did verb and
What
then,
was the second one?
So you go verb and then participle?
Right.
in green and gray.
No, we haven't
And then
got
I
a
was
second
doing the
word
second
yet.
line.
Yeah. So the first
You
one
got
Oh,
a
I
was,
didn't
second
do
line, but
enter,
not
that was my
half.
so the first one was verb imperative.
Okay. Oh, and then
then
verb
verb
participle.
participle.
over here.
So the first one was green.
everybody has their laptops up.
Professor's a young guy sitting next to everybody else. Let me show you this.
We don't lecture. We just dialogue.
Chris, this
But
is
I'm
so
not, you're not gonna do great?
It's all about.
Yeah, I am, but I didn't do enter last
It's
time.
all
I
about
missed
the
it.
Yeah. So indicative is a
I
scale.
guess so. You know, I
And
would
that can't be
take
the main verb, so you do that in.
That's what he
You just sleeping here tonight, D-Rob?
Oh no, I'm going home.
Okay, so you can do all kinds of stuff here. You could now figure out how to say mark up a second person pronoun in red. So if you want to say you instead of y'all, like if you wanted to make it obvious where there was a, say you wanted to show all of the verbs that are talking, that are in a plural verb or a plural pronoun. You want to mark those all up red. You guys anticipate how to do that?
Yeah.
So let's do that now. Third line, just say at, and we're going to want to say pronouns, because the pronouns won't be obvious in English. If we have a second person plural pronoun, and we want that to be red,
Is that all we get for pronoun and then go to pronoun?
no, you want, because you don't want to
Second
mark all
person.
pronouns up. You want to go to pronoun second person. So I'll do that again. At pronoun second person plural in red. Let's find out where those are so I can show you an example. So I'm going to do a quick morph search to show me where those are.
Now do I have to save that or just there?
So here's a good
So,
example,
Good question.
right? So look, so you have in here, I just opened up to Matthew 3. I baptize you with water for repentance. Let me close this real fast. I baptize you with water for repentance. Who warned you to flee? You can now see that he's using the second person plural pronoun there, where in English, you don't know, is he talking to one person? You can certainly get it from context, but in English, the second person pronoun, you, doesn't define itself as singular or plural, where in Greek it does. So this is something to help you see.
Jesus is speaking, it's gonna be confusing because we
Yeah,
chose
I
red.
changed it to.
Okay,
I
yeah.
changed it to blue.
Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful. I'm going to change it to blue as well. We're gonna make our second
There we
person. Or this might be a good one. Do a double underline
Oh, there you
so
go.
that you can
There you
say
go.
Second person plural.
plural, and now watch. Now do second person singular. You can change this. Do whatever you want with it. I haven't done this before, so do a second person singular pronoun in single underline.
So,
Wherever underline is.
Jake, I have a question.
Yeah.
But why did we title this equipping hour?
Oh, I just did because I already have a Greek verb. You can title it whatever you want.
But I,
But we just put all of these filters all under equipping our imperative.
Yeah, I'm just gonna change. Let's just change this to Greek. Sorry,
You don't have to just for me.
Greek. No, this is good. Greek. Greek Bible visual filters. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Blue underline.
Oh.
I would say
Are.
single.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you want. Where's underline?
Pink or question
I would say I have a normal underline.
question mark?
That's sort of lame.
Yes. See what that does.
We could make an underline.
They got pencil underline, red underline, blue underline, but not just single black underline.
You could make one.
Can?
Now you know. You remember from last week? Quick review, and then we'll go. So you go to tools. Remember highlighting? We're going to. I don't think you can. We're going to make a new one in your own palette. So I'm going to have in just wherever palette you want. I'll make it my general markups palette. You can make it in your palette where you were working last time. Add a new style. Font styling. Maybe you can underline there. Text effects, borders text. Should be easy, huh? I've never created an underlining thing. Sam, help me figure out how to underline.
You just go to borders and lines,
Borders and lines.
solid single, and then you have to select the.
Oh, solid single, and you choose where to put it. Thank you, Sam. Underline.
I made it difficult.
Black, underline. So, click here, black, under borders and lines, single underline. And then over here you can select that. So that's just to remind you how to make your own styles. You weren't. It's okay. Where did I stick those?
You thought Sam wasn't paying attention.
Okay. And then I'm just going to do dual as well because there's three different types of pronouns. So we're going to go second person, dual. I don't even know how many of those there are.
What's a dual? Just
Two. Yeah, defining it as two.
And I'll get you and somebody else.
Here, let's see if there are any of those. There's none, so you don't have to do it.
Okay, good.
All right, so, all right, cool. So that's, you can play with it. You can't mess it up. If you make something silly, just erase it. Now, say that you're in your text and you're like, man, I want it to stop making that green. How do you do that?
Oh, I know.
Documents?
The circles.
The circles. Remember, the circles are like you're laying the see-through papers, the see-through like overhead projector papers over your text. You're saying, I want to take that one off.
So we put these all in one file, so we can either turn it all off or all on.
Right. You can, and that's where you can.
So would you just then click equipping our imperative Greek words?
Yep. Take that off, and it goes away. Put it back on, and it's there. Okay. So that's searching. You can do all kinds of searches. You can learn how to do searches. If you want to learn how to do a particular search, you can ask me. I'll prep. A lot of times, I've just learned through trial and error. It can be so intense. It's like a programming language kind of search, or just simple if then ands. There's a wiki online that can help you figure it out. You can look in the help for some search helps. Really, most of your searches will be so simple that you'll just be searching for Jesus within 4 words, Lord. I mean, those are the types of things you might want to learn how to do. The most important search thing that's not intuitive for you to know how to do is put the Bible references in the greater than, less than sign. Right? If you're wanting to search really fast for every place where John Piper, just going to review that really quick, just so we can make sure we get all this down. I'm going to search in Piper. He's my author Piper. Search for, and that's under this section. I'm going to search for everywhere where he references 1 Peter 2, 1 through 2. I now get that. Everywhere where John Piper referenced 1 Peter 2, 1 through 2. You definitely want the less than, greater than sign on searching. Okay, so that's key. Again, all the and stuff, if you're in 6, it's in the background. I believe it's in the background on 5 as well. If you do a basic search, you can scroll down here and it'll show you some of the helps. Mess with it, play with it. Again, don't do it all the time when you're reading the Bible. This is where you can start to get distracted instead of helped. It's good to know that it's there. You're probably getting in trouble if you use it every day. Until, a lot of this is you have to discipline yourself to keep yourself in the text only. Visual filters are searches where you take this, you overlay a visual filter or markup over the search results. That's all that a visual filter is. They're very powerful if you want to use them. You don't have to use them. And I think that covers images. The images or media would be how you'd search your library for pictures of stuff. I think that's pretty much all that we're going to do on searching for the class. Okay, so next week we're going to, I think, get into collections, or we'll just actually jump into a text and start using some of the stuff that we've started on. Okay, so just play with it this week. Please contact me. Let me know if you have any specific questions. I'm going to try to make some short videos actually do it this week. So thank you guys.